The station hub of Ringway 12 rotated in slow harmony against the dark stretch of space. Thousands of species passed through its terminals each day, a river of motion and color. Yet at Gate C, where the passengers of the inbound diplomatic transport gathered, there was a single seat that no one touched out. It belonged to her Dot. She was called Mira by the station registry. Though it was clear, the name was a simplified approximation of the trill-like sound her own people used. Her form was tall and luminous, covered in soft plates that refracted the ambient lights into calm shades of blue. Fine threads along her neck pulsed with a faint internal glow. Despite the elegance of her appearance, passengers hurried past her row with unease. Some glanced at her and quickly looked away. Others whispered warnings to their companions, not because she was dangerous, because she was unwanted. Her homeworld, once a peaceful member of the Commonwealth, had fallen into a bitter cycle of unrest. Neighboring factions claimed her people carried a dormant trait that might destabilize the balance of certain environments. It did not matter that none of this had been proven. Fear had already built its own walls, Dot, so when Mira traveled alone, seats near her remained empty. Dot. She sat upright, hands folded in her lap, pretending not to notice the hostility. Her face lacked the expressive range of humans, but her stillness had a lonely quality. Passengers continued to fill the terminal until only one seat was unclaimed, the one beside her. Minutes before boarding, a human stepped into the waiting area. His arrival went mostly unnoticed. He wore the coveralls of the systems engineer. A small patch above his chest displayed his name. Leo. His hair was dark. His posture relaxed, and his gaze scanned the room with the quiet observation of someone used to crowded terminals. He carried a toolkit slung over one shoulder, yet the weight of it did not slow him. He noticed the empty seat. He noticed Myra. He walked to the row without hesitation. Without asking permission or signaling concern, he eased into the seat beside her as if it were the most ordinary thing in the galaxy. He sat without making a sound. Myra's internal glow dimmed in surprise. She turned slightly, regarding him with a cautious tilt of the head. "You are aware I am here," she said in a calm tone. "Yeah," Leo replied. "You are aware no one sits here," she said. "Yeah," he repeated, adjusting his toolkit against his leg. "Not my problem." She studied him for a moment. Humans were known for their unpredictability, yes, but most shared the same nervous reaction others expressed near her. Leo showed none. He didn't flinch. He didn't look away. He didn't shift his weight to keep distance. He simply existed beside her. "Are you unbothered?" she asked. "Seems that way." Silence settled between them. Not an awkward silence, but one that held shape, like a shared space free of judgment. Then the gate display flashed with boarding instructions. Passengers stood, forming lines. They still avoided her. They stepped around her row, pretending they had reasons to stand. Elsewhere. Leo rose and offered a small gesture to indicate she should go ahead of him. "We board," he said. She blinked once in acknowledgement. They walked toward the transport tunnel. The procession ahead parted slightly so she could pass. Not for respect, only for distance. Leo followed closely, taking each step with an unhurried rhythm. Inside the transport ship, the central corridor buzzed with low hums from its engines. Seats curved along the length of the passenger cabin. As always, segments near Mira emptied quicker than they filled. She moved toward the middle. Her fingers brushed the smooth armrest. Then she paused. Leo was behind her. "Do you wish to sit near me again?" she asked. He shrugged. Seat is a seat. But she understood the underlying meaning. He had accepted her presence already. She lowered herself into the row. Leo took the place beside her just as silently as he had in the terminal. When the vessel detached from the station, the soft tremor along the hull rippled outward. The windows displayed the curve of ringway 12 shrinking behind them. After a few minutes, Leo pulled a small diagnostic tablet from his toolkit. Mira glanced at the device. "You work on ships?" she asked. "Mostly engines," he said. "Sometimes power grids. Sometimes whatever is smoking and about to explode." She considered the humor in his tone. Humans had an odd way of phrasing things, but she found the rhythm pleasing. "You do not fear danger," she said. He tapped a menu on the tablet. "Comes with the job." Her gaze lowered subtly. "My presence is considered danger." He stopped tapping. His hand lowered. "Myra, I've met danger," he said in a steady tone. "It doesn't sit quietly and mind its own business." Her internal glow brightened at the sound of her chosen name. Few outside her species used it without reluctance. The vessel continued its steady journey toward the Commonwealth Council Station. Mira was scheduled to speak on behalf of her people. She carried with her a data packet containing reports, environmental studies, and behavioral analyses. Proof that her species posed no threat, proof that no one believed, despite her composed posture. The edges of her plates trembled faintly. Anxiety. She hid it well, but not from someone seated less than a handspan away. "Are you all right?" Leo asked. "I must present evidence to the council," she said. "But many have already judged us. My voice may not be heard." Leo tucked his tablet away. "You'll speak anyway. It may not matter. Doesn't mean you stop talking." Her fingers pressed together, absorbing the warmth of his words. Humans had a resilience that seemed to radiate from their sharp angles and warm skin. A stubbornness almost gravitational. She studied him openly now. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes carried focus. He wasn't drifting like the others. He wasn't distancing himself. "You chose to sit beside me," she said. "Why? Didn't feel right leaving the seat empty." "That is not an answer." He gave a small breath. Not a sigh. Not impatience. Just a release of thought. "Fine," he said. "Because someone should." Her plate stilled. "Someone should show you you're not alone." The cabin lights dimmed as the ship shifted into faster transit. Artificial night filled the space. Leo leaned back, arms resting loosely. Mira remained sitting upright, but something softened in the angle of her shoulders. Several hours into the voyage, a notification chimed across the cabin. A technician voice from the crew announced that the forward coolant line on the starboard engine showed fluctuations. They assured passengers it was under control. Leo's eyes narrowed. Coolant fluctuation doesn't happen without a reason. She tilted her head. "Should we be concerned?" "Not yet." But his tone said something else. Mira observed the subtleties in his posture. Humans communicated with their shoulders, their hands, the angle of their jaw. He was listening to something beyond the announcement. A faint hum. A shift in vibration. Then the ship jolted. Passengers gasped. Some clutched armrests. A few alarmed voices rose. Myra remained steady. Leo unclipped his toolkit. "Stay here." "What will you do?" she asked. "Fix what's broken." Before she could respond, he slipped into the aisle and moved toward a maintenance hatch near the midsection. Crew members tried to redirect him, but he flashed his credentials and cut through the resistance. Myra watched him vanish into the hatch. Another tremor rocked the ship. A soft ripple along her plates signaled worry. She wished she had followed, but human vessels were not designed for her physiology. Crawl spaces were too narrow. Maneuvering might damage equipment. So she waited. Minutes stretched. Passengers whispered. The lights flickered twice. Then the hum of the engine stabilized. The tremors ceased. The crew announced the emergency was resolved. When Leo returned, he wiped coolant residue from his sleeve. He dropped back into the seat beside her with a tired exhale. "It is fixed?" she asked. "Yeah, they had a blockage in the coolant line. Simple but dangerous if ignored." You saved everyone. Just did my job. But his job had not required him to be on this transport. He was simply traveling between contracts. Yet he acted the same as if the ship belonged to him. Myra regarded him with a deeper understanding now. You are consistent, she said. That a compliment? He asked. Yes. He smiled. A small one, but genuine. The rest of the journey passed in steady motion. When the ship docked at the council station, passengers gathered their belongings. Some murmured about the earlier danger, praising luck rather than the human who had fixed the problem. Myra rose slowly. Leo stood beside her. You have to speak now, he said. I do. You'll do well. You cannot know that. I can. She studied him one last moment before walking into the station. The council hall stood tall and circular, its ceiling shimmering with embedded starlight reflectors. Delegates from dozens of worlds filled the chamber. Mira approached the central podium. She could feel the weight of their stares. Cold, suspicious, distant. She began her presentation. Data flowed across the displays. Her voice remained steady. She explained every detail with clarity, but she could sense it. They weren't listening. Some delegates whispered among themselves. Others checked their personal screens. A few made no attempt to hide their skepticism. A familiar ache stirred in her chest. Then, at the far side of the hall, the doors opened. Leo stepped inside. Not loudly, not forcefully. Quiet. Steady. Certain. He took a seat near the front row. A seat near a delegate who had pulled her chair slightly away from the aisle. Leo sat beside her without hesitation, without a sound. The small ripple his presence caused spread across the hall. Whisperers paused. Distracted delegates lifted their eyes. Some recognized him from the incident aboard the